All right, first of all, let's dispose of some of the myths and the problems of this game. And myth number one, you've all heard it. Keep your eye on the ball. Watch the ball hit the strings of your racket. But can you do that? The answer is no, because ophthalmologists have shown us very good evidence that when the ball hits the court, it comes up to your racket, the last 40 degrees, or about 3 feet before it hits your racket, that requires a very sudden head shift, and your eyes blank out. Now, it is true. You can stand like this, and if the ball's coming very slowly, you could maybe see it hit the strings of your racket. But if the guy hits your backhand, you're dead. So you're not going to be able to stand there and watch the ball hit the strings of the racket. Now, also, Dr. Bernie Slatt in Toronto has shown us very good evidence that on the dead run, your eyes absolutely fog up. So your eyes are foggy, and you don't see the last 40 degrees. We're saying you're lucky to be alive. I mean, that's really the problem with this game. So don't worry about it. But people say, hey, wait a minute, my neighbor Helen, she says she can see it. But that's not true at all. You just live close to a liar. I mean, she can't see that at all. But people think they can see it. That's okay. So then why do we say keep your eye on the ball? Well, we want you to pretend like you do keep your eye on the ball because it keeps your head still. And these two heads are related. When this head stays still, this swing is smooth. Now, why do people look up then? Well, there's a fascinating thing. The brain actually works 200 milliseconds ahead of the shot. So it's a 200 millisecond delay. The brain's made the shot. The racket hasn't. Your brain looks up to see where the doggone ball's going, but the racket looks up at the same time. That's why you walk back to the gate to find your ball. You've just whiffed it. All right. We have a little machine here that's going to measure how long that delay is from your brain to your hand. And Mary Lay is going to run this machine. She's our head coach here. And Kathy is going to run a little machine over here. It's called a Bassin Anticipatory Reflex Timer. Now this mechanism, Mary's going to run it down the line, and you'll see that the red light goes down that line, and when that red light goes down the line, Kathy is going to push the button at the same time the last red light lights up. Kathy, how do you think you did?
Right on.
Right on. Mary, what'd you do?
She was 67 milliseconds late.
57 or 67?
67.
67. Kathy, let's do it again. One more time. Let's do it a couple more times. Go, Mary. Okay. Whoa. Early or late?
She was 200 milliseconds late.
All right, give her a Roscoe Tanner serve. Oh. Early or late?
She was 185 milliseconds late.
All right, we're going to have you all try this thing sooner or later, but try sometime to get yourself in the frame of mind that maybe you're not timing every ball just right. Now, the second reason that people look up is that hitters think their opponent's doing something really big at the same time. So you're looking up to see what that toad is doing. Well, they are really doing nothing. They're going like this. That's your image. They're going, take that, and that. But see, they're doing nothing. See, there's only one ball, and you have it. That's the way you should think. That's very important. All right. Now, if your image is that your opponent's going, take that, and you're already getting nervous, then use imagery in a proper way. Just imagine your opponent like this. Right? And if you can get that fixed in your mind, then there won't be any problems. Who's going to beat you with a finger in their nose? All right. Now, I'll tell you how much the brain will work for people. We have people hitting a ball, running, photos of them hitting the ball is on the strings, they're running for the other corner. We say, where are you going? And they say, I'm going to get my opponent's shot. We say, hey, look, don't worry about his, because yours isn't going over. Right. Now, it's a very important thing for you. Take it one shot at a time. If you are in perfect position for every ball, swing properly and hit it in the center of the strings, you will never lose again in your entire life. Just take it one shot at a time. Now, most people think they have to improve 100% to beat most of the people who now beat them. Wrong. We've run some interesting experiments on that. If your average going over the net is only 3, how many more balls do you have to get your average up to beat most of the people who now beat you? The answer is 1. If you get your average from 3 to 4, you improve 33%. You improve 33%. See how many people you beat. Basically, you've got to give your opponent one more opportunity to take gas. That's an aim. So get the balls back. More balls back. At least one more ball on your average, and you're going to be absolutely so famous it's going to scare you. Now you got to buy time. People say, hey, my big problem is I don't buy any time. Start with, what do we mean by that? Buying time simply means getting a very fast first step so that when you get to the ball you can swing slowly. And if you can do that when you're swinging slowly, you can begin to find out what's going wrong. But most people swing so quickly at the ball, they don't know. I say, geez, did you feel it? They go, look, I'm just happy to get a tan. I don't know what's going on. All right. So if you stop and think about it, don't get so wrapped up in all of those mystical shots people own. They don't own them. Where can people hit a ball? They can hit it to your left, to your right, over your head, at your feet, or through your navel. That's the only way people can go. Now, I'm going to show you a little experiment. What's your name, sir?
Steve.
Steve. All right, Steve, I'm going to throw you a ball. I want you to throw it right back to me, catch it, and throw it back. All right, one more time. All right? This time I'm going to throw you a ball up in the air somewhere. I won't tell you where it's going. Then I'm going to tell you, close your eyes. And I want you to close your eyes and still try to catch the ball. But don't close until I say close. So you're going to watch it like a hawk. All I care about is, can you make that ball hit your fingertips? If you can, I know that you are right on the center of the strings of your racket. Here we go. Watch it like a hawk. Here it comes. Close. The idea is he'll catch it over and over again. Why can you catch the ball? And the answer is, every person in this room has already measured speed, trajectory, and everything before the ball's even 2 feet out of my hand. Well, if you all know where the ball is going, how come you don't move? That's fascinating. People won't move. And the real reason is you don't want to be caught running the wrong way, right? That's the truth. But see, take a look at what the pro does. Now, here's what a pro does. A pro goes to the backhand or a forehand. It's a forehand, and they go. They go with their decision. Once in a while, you see them running the wrong way. And people become furious in the stands. They go, I paid $10 for this ticket, and that toad is running the wrong way. And they get all upset about it. But see, intermediates won't do that because they confirm everything. They're not going to look stupid, man. So they go, is it a backhand or a forehand? It's a forehand. Right. And then they go like this. We're saying to you, make a decision. Other things we see intermediates do all the time. They rush to the net. They go, is it going to my backhand or to my forehand? It was to my backhand. They don't go anywhere. We're saying make a decision and go with it, because there's going to be a time in tennis, even if you run the wrong way, it's going to be valuable to you. And people always say, that's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. But that's not stupid, honestly. There's a time in tennis when you're going to need to shake your opponent up, because think about it. You have maybe lost the first set 6-love. You are down 5-love, 30-love in the second set. And when you really take a little time out to think about the situation, you are not in control, right? You're down 6-love, 5-love, 30-love. You have to do mind-blowing things to shake your opponent up. Try this. It absolutely works all the time. You're down 6-love, 5-love, 30-love. They hit you a backhand, turn and run the other way, right? And when you get there, take a perfect swing, right? And watch what happens to your opponent. They go crazy. I mean, they'll stare at you for a long time. You'll be the talk of your club, honestly. And you'll win 5 games almost immediately. So be loose. You've got to try some things. All right. You've heard some of the common myths and problems. And now let's get into the forehand, because that's a big thing. Why do you have to work so hard on the forehand? And the answer is, the top players in the world have difficulty naming 10 great forehands in the history of the game. Well, people come here and say, you're wrong. My forehand is terrific. But that's usually in relation to the fact that you have no backhand. Now, we don't want to make this a relative issue. But the forehand is a pretty difficult stroke, and we'll show you. But let's first talk about why we call it a forehand. We call it a forehand because when your side is to the net, the front part, or the forepart of your hand, is facing your opponent. We call it a backhand because when you turn this way, the backside is facing your opponent. And that's a forehand and a backhand. Left-handers just make the reversal. All right, let's get to the grip. You will see. We're going to try a little thing here with a racket. We'll show you that we put some numbers on a racket for you, but we will talk to you about bevels all the time, over and over and over again. Every racket has 5 bevels from top to bottom, whether you are a left-hander or a right-hander. Number 1 on the top. Number 2, the next bevel. Number 3, the flat side. And by the way, 3 relates to the surface of the racket face. 4 near the bottom and 5 on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we would like you to take your hand and put the palm against number 3, because number 3 relates to the palm relates to the racket face. If the palm is vertical, so is the racket face. That means that all you have to do is learn to play with your palm. Guidance comes from the palm. And if you can beat people, I guarantee it's because you're keeping that palm going out towards your intended target. And if you're going to beat a lot of people, you're going to be famous by Friday, that's for sure. All right, now that we got the grip out of the way, I want to go to the court, and we're going to put some of these things to the test. We're going to show you how to use this grip, the racket, your clothing, and your body. Come on out with me. All right, what do you say, baby? Okie dokie. Come on, grab some spots. Let's get on the forehand. Now look, while you're here, remember, we want you to ignore all the other classes because we've got hundreds of people hitting the balls. What we want to do is make you famous by Friday. Let's get going. We're putting the things to the test on the forehand. One of the biggest problems on the forehand relates to the upper arm. So remember, we want you to swing with the full arm. But here's what happens to most people. Most people on the forehand get to the point of impact with the ball, and just before they impact it, they stop this upper arm. And when you stop it, the next segment goes fast. But we want you to remember, if you swing like this, you will never play a person on a side court. See, everyone is going to be out there. All right, now very few people have a good forehand, and there are basically 3 or 4 reasons why. One is, most people have no power. They can get power because they have too long a swing. We want you to understand too long this way, but we want you to get further out away from the ball. That's the name of the game, inside out, this way. If you are normally hitting the ball here, and now you hit the ball here, you get 2 times further out, but you get 4 times the power. Watch this. I'm going to hit a ball. And if I swing in close to my body, I don't get power. But if I swing out away from my body, now I can get much more power. If I'm 3 times further out, if I normally hit here, and then I hit here, I'm 1, 2, 3 times further out, I get 9 times the power. So learn to start your swing from here, keep it on the front side of your body, and swing away from your body. But the problem is most people start to choke up a little bit. And when you get nervous, the brain starts pulling you in. It doesn't let you go out, it brings you in. And people are like this. But even to show you how much the brain really inhibits movement, your friends can be outside the fence, and they can try to help you. They say, hey, you're choking. And all you can say is, right. You can do nothing about it. So inside out, get your racket perpendicular to the back fence, swing away from your body. All right, now efficiency is a big thing in the swing. If you are efficient with your body, you don't have to swing hard to get power. I started Tracy Austin when she was just 2 years old. By the time she was 5 years old, she could hit the ball very, very hard. That's because she was efficient when she moved into the ball.
Here's Tracy at age 5. Notice how she coils her body and then unwinds in a very efficient manner. Even at age 5, she could hit the ball hard without having to slug it. Also, notice how well she keeps her own head still while her body uncoils. And when Tracy hits, she doesn't let the ball come to her. She goes to meet the ball. And here's exactly how you should do it.
You start off thinking about turning your body back. It's like a snake. Snake coils to strike. If you coil, then you've got your body ready to strike. Now, when you uncoil, that's the secret. How do you uncoil the body? Well, we call it the kinetic chain, and the chain uncoils in this manner. Let's name off the segments for you. Segment 1 is from the foot to the knee. Segment 2 is from the knee to the hip. Segment 3 is from the hip up to your head, and segment 4 is the arm and racket. But they have to go in a particular manner. They go 1, and when this knee stops, it makes the hip go faster, just like the whip. And when this hip stops, the next one goes faster. And if you'll stop this segment, the racket goes faster. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. A little rhythmical movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if your feet are in contact with the ground, you'll get much more power. And the reason for that is you have stabilizers now, and that allows you to make the chain-like movement. But if your feet are not touching the ground, you can't get power because you can't unwind the segments. You'll have to keep one foot in contact with the ground. My friend Dr. Gideon Ariel is always saying, remember, you cannot shoot a cannon from a canoe. You see, if the cannonball goes as far in one direction as the canoe goes in the opposite. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So keep your feet on the ground, get the stabilizers, have this nice, easy rhythm. How far back should you go? I said most people go back too far this way. Well, you only want to swing about 15 feet in length when you make the swing. If you turn your body, that's about a 7-foot backswing. Now you have about 8 feet left to go to get you to the 15. But most people go back so far that they end up swinging 23 to 25 feet every time they hit a ball. They make the turn, that's 7. Now they make this mistake. They lay the racket back 4 more feet. They're now at 11. Now they need 4 coming back, that's 15. 8 to 10 forward is 23 to 25 feet every time they swing. But that gets you out of synchronization. Watch how this destroys the kinetic chain. If you do it properly, it goes like this, rhythmically. 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you lay the racket back too far, on slow motion film, it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't want that. And some people say, gee, I'm just uncoiling my body like crazy, but I get no power. Shorten the swing. If you lay the wrist back too far, the cure is in this elbow. If you'll take this elbow and push it up, now you notice that it brings the racket back to the front side of your body and you shorten the swing again. But most people, when you get them to raise this elbow, they say, hey, that feels funny. And it does. It feels very weird holding your elbows like this, unless you spend a lot of time at the bar. If you do that, it seems to be very natural movement. Now also remember that if your elbow's in but your racket doesn't go back too far, there's no problem. Whatever you need to do to shorten the swing and help you hit inside out for more power, that's what you really want to do. Now again, remember that research shows there's a strong relationship between this head and this head. So you want to keep this head still while this head is swinging because it keeps this racket going up on a very smooth plane. Now, why do people look up then? That's the question we get. It's a logical question. Then why not just leave it there like you say? The problem is the brain has already made the shot, which we've mentioned. And so people are all ready to look and see where it's going, but you haven't hit it yet. That's the problem. You have not made the swing. We want you to pretend as though you do see it, even though we know you don't see the ball. Pretend as though you do see the ball hit the strings. It'll keep the head still until your arm touches the chin. But people say to me, are you kidding me, Matt? If I left my head still until my arm touches the chin, my opponent's shot's going to hit me right in the ear. That's the feeling you get. They go crazy. But they're not going to do anything. Again, remember, there's only one ball and you have it. They can do nothing until your shot arrives. So people say, all right, I know about the power system, but what kind of a swing do I have? Do I have a loop swing or do I go straight back? Well, with pros, you see all kinds of swings, but nearly every pro in the world has a loop swing. And we've got a little teaching aid here, and we're going to show you, and I hope I can make this clear. Excuse me for turning my back to you folks, but watch this. Here's the loop we like. You get your racket back on the ready position. I've coiled my body. Now, as the racket goes down, my rear end goes down, and my foot goes out. 3 things: a 3-point landing, racket back, racket down, butt down, foot goes out. Now you swing up at the ball. Now, Dr. Pat Keating has shown us that you get about 11 miles per hour of racket speed on a loop when you're down here. So as Dr. Keating says, use the loop, get more power, but come back up with the ball. Now, let me show you from the front. Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. All right, now from the front, it looks like this. You ready? The racket goes back. Your body is coiled for power. The racket goes down, 3-point landing. Your butt goes down, the foot goes out. 3 things happen together. But don't stay down with the ball. We say come up with the ball. Because when you come up at the ball, your body and racket, if they're at the same angle, you will be more efficient. You get more power, and yet people have been told, stay down with the ball. We don't agree with that. Come up at the same angle. Watch this. All right, my body lifts, I get some power. So don't be afraid to lift. If you lift, you get strong thighs anyway. That's all that happens to you. And anyway, another consideration for the loop over the straight back, in my opinion, take your best shots at me. Biomechanists tell us that when you run, you need the use of your arms for efficient movement. Now, notice that the right arm goes with the left leg. The left arm goes with the right leg. And so that's what keeps your body in alignment when you run. But if you run with your racket back, your body almost always goes out of alignment. So not for everybody, but most people will tell us, I feel funny running with my racket back. Well, part of it is because you're not getting the use of the arms to go with the legs to balance your body. So don't be afraid to take this loop. Look at the advantage of the loop. The person gets there, they get the use of the arms. Now they start to swing. If you run with the racket back and you feel comfortable, that's super. But if you feel uncomfortable, that may be the reason. You've lost the use of your arms to keep your body in alignment. How important is the racket face? Well, when you're hitting the ball, the racket face is everything. It has to be vertical at impact. People say, wait a minute, I've seen Borg play. Are you kidding me? His racket looks like this. I say, well, look, don't worry about how it looks there. What you want to do is to worry about how it looks here. See, Borg looks terrible here, looks fantastic here. Now, we're saying most people look fantastic here, terrible here. Now, we know that people who swing like this will have to go out the gate and look for the ball. Now, we hope that people will learn how important it is to have the racket head vertical at impact. As a matter of fact, Dr. Keating did another study for us. We did this study. It was called the effect of turbulence upon a sphere with protruding wool particles. And here's what happened in that study. We know that a 1 degree change with the racket face in most tennis matches is 6 feet of length on the ball. So you can't move the racket around like this. 1 degree is 6 feet. And in our study, we showed if a ball is coming on a 5-foot horizontal plane traveling 30 miles an hour, you swing 17 miles an hour at that ball. That's all. And if you hit it swinging straight across, if your racket is tilted only 10 degrees, the ball goes 110 feet. The court is only 78 feet long. So yeah, we see people play like this all the time. And they're saying, I don't have the feel today. Well, they haven't had it in their life. They haven't had any feel. You're kidding? They're lucky to be alive. So try, if you can, to keep the racket head vertical at impact. And remember, racket down here will get the racket straight up here. But the racket straight up here will have it turned under here. Now, another reason why that racket is so important is because the ball is on the strings only 4 milliseconds. That means 4 1,000ths of a second. That's all. It hits and it is gone. Now, think about this. You never feel a ball while it's on the strings. You hit the ball, it's gone. And then the feeling runs up your arm, hits your brain, and goes, ha, ha. Now, well, if it's, oh, I didn't like that, you can't do anything about it because the brain back to the hand is 200 milliseconds. So it's 20 to 70 up, 200 down, but it's only on the strings 4. So people say, well, wait a minute. I'm thinking about what you just said, Braden. If the ball's on the strings only 4 milliseconds, what the heck value is the follow-through? And the answer is, as far as guiding the ball, the follow-through has 0 value. Now think about it. Theoretically, you could go like this. And you could have the same forehand exactly. Or you could hit it and go, and it would make no difference at all, believe me. But the real reason for a follow-through is, what happens if you don't hit it here? You hit it here. Well, if you have a very good follow-through, it allows you to mistime the ball and still be terrific. That's the only reason for a follow-through. People say, wait a minute, what happens if I'm late? I don't know, I can't help you. If you're late, the follow-through has no value for you at all. If you are late, let me tell you on a swing, you are bound to come in second in a field of 2.